Can you guess what the #1 selling Nintendo game is? Well, believe it or not, the most sold Nintendo game is Wii Sports. My first guess was Super Mario Bros., which doesn't even come close, with the original release and all of its re-releases totaling to about 58 million units sold, while Wii Sports, on the other hand, has a whopping 82.6 million units sold. That's a lot of games sold. This doesn't even hold a candle to games like GTA 5 or Minecraft, which have well exceeded the 100 million units sold mark. But for a silly game about sports that was included with the purchase of a Wii console, for it to sell more than classic Nintendo properties like Mario and Pokemon, I find it kinda interesting. So, I guess today's question really is, how did Wii Sports become so popular? Well, to answer that, we'll have to start in 2001. In September of that year, Nintendo released the GameCube, one of the most popular and beloved consoles in video game history. The GameCube has a swath of popular games including Super Mario Sunshine, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Resident Evil 4, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, and many, many more. While Nintendo was basking in the glory of their new hit console, they also had a new issue to face in the video game space. 01 was also the year that the original Xbox was released and bundled with Halo Combat Evolved, one of the most popular FPS games ever, and was the start of the iconic sci-fi series. Not only did the Xbox release, but the PS2 a year before and in 2001 saw the release of classic Sony titles. Games like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, Silent Hill 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, and GTA 3. While all the releases in 2001 may be vastly different in playstyle, graphics, and character, they all shared one thing in common. These games are totally awesome. This was an incredibly good time to start playing video games. With all the new console releases and home run games, there was something for everyone to play. And that was just it. Something for everyone to play. I imagine this was on the minds of the game devs over at Nintendo. You see, they weren't the only big video game company anymore, now having to compete with Sony and Microsoft on both the console and games front. The PS2 and Xbox had slightly greater hardware than the just-released GameCube, and had their devs focusing on improving the technology and capability of new titles. But Nintendo had other ideas for their next move. You see, after the retirement of Hiroshi Yamauchi, Satoru Iwata was promoted to president, and he realized that the company was falling behind on the current trends in the game industry. At the time, Nintendo really didn't have many online multiplayer games, and Iwata wanted to remove the exclusivity that came with gaming. This left him and his teams with the challenge of making something for everyone to play. The logic was power isn't everything for a console, and instead, focusing on a unique way to play really might be the direction to take. In 2003, Iwata would meet with famed Nintendo game dev Shigeru Miyamoto and hardware engineer and technology fellow Genyo Takeda to develop his idea. Iwata would task Takeda with researching and developing the actual new console, specifying allegedly that it had to be, quote, appealing to mothers, and tasked Miyamoto with developing a new type of controller from the ground up. Iwata also had the team work with Gyrations Incorporated, a firm that was developing motion detection to be used in further controllers and games. While the plan was set in motion, an initial prototype was ready in 6 months. The console itself was small and echoed the original sentiment with very little in terms of hardware. 2004 would then mark the first time the Wii would be mentioned publicly as the GCN, or GameCube Next. Then, at E3 in 2005, Iwata would reveal the first prototype and name the new console Revolution. In September of that year, the prototype of the Wiimote and Nunchuck would be revealed at the Tokyo Game Show, showing off the Wii's hallmark feature, motion controls. This was a first for the industry. While strange controller peripherals had been made in the past, almost all of them failed for one reason or another. Controllers at this point had been nearly the same, a wired interface that had buttons and triggers that would be pressed to interact with what was on screen. And then the Wii had this, something that looked more like a television remote. But because of the tech developed by Gyration, they were able to use human motion as the controller. This was possible thanks to built-in accelerometers and infrared detection connecting to a sensor bar, which would allow for positioning in a 3D space. With the console set and the controller fully developed, the official launch of the Wii was set for November 19th, 2006. This release, mind you, was critical for Nintendo, not only because of their own investment into new technology, but because of their new competition as well. 06 also marked the release of the PlayStation 3, a significantly more powerful console compared to the PS2, and the Xbox 360 had just released a year earlier. On top of all of this, the GameCube had begun to fall off compared to what Sony and Microsoft had to offer. If Nintendo wanted to rise above the ultra-competitive market, the Wii would need a killer launch, and man, did Nintendo deliver. The Wii would surpass the PS3 and 360 in its first year of sales. By the end of 06, there were even shortages of the console. People were dying to get their hands on the new Wii system. And by 2007, the Wii would continue to outpace the sales of the Xbox 360 and continue to greatly increase production to meet demand. Nintendo would sell 50 million consoles by 2009 and reduce the price of the Wii to draw in consumers who might have been a little hesitant to buy in and play video games. But what exactly contributed to the success of the Wii? I believe that the Wii was so successful for a few reasons besides Wii Sports. The launch of the console was followed by an iconic series of commercials that everyone remembers fondly. The commercials I'm talking about are the "We Would Like to Play" commercials, showing two salesmen, or maybe game devs in this case, showing off the Wii, its console and controller, and having the family play in a variety of wacky and fun activities. They were pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. The Wii also boasted backwards compatibility, allowing it to play GameCube games. All of them. Which, I mean, to be frank, is just a really good feature to have on any console. Also, the design choices of the interface as well as the first released game, Wii Sports, were intended to reach a broader audience and promote inclusion. Things like the start screen appearing like a television channel and the long television remote look of the Wiimote helped to catch the attention of older individuals who might have been hesitant to give video games a try. And most importantly, Wii Sports was the first game most people played on their new Wii. This is large in part due to its inclusion with the brand new console. But Wii Sports was more than just a freebie. It was a great game. Heck, I'd even say Wii Sports was the best Wii game of all time. Wii Sports did something that I feel, personally, is lost from a lot of newer game releases. It has simple mechanics that were fun, and it focused on delivering that fun. The game lets you play 5 different sports: tennis, golf, boxing, basketball, and bowling, and basically broke them down to the bare bones. If you wanted to play tennis, all you had to do was swing the Wiimote to hit the ball. Your character would move automatically, so you didn't have to worry about positioning yourself, and you were almost always ready to return a swing. And this might sound boring on paper, but in practice, it was really fun. I remember playing a lot of Wii Sports with my friends as a kid and loving the movement aspect and swinging my arms all over the place like a lunatic. And the other sports took the same design cues: simple mechanics and approachable and fun gameplay. I would argue this is incredible design because of how it was able to captivate its massive audience. Wii Sports was able to do something that almost no game at the time could achieve, and that's getting old white people to play video games. All of the sport modes that were included in Wii Sports were not only iconic, but easy enough for anyone to pick up and play. Mix that with the approachability of sports as a main theme for a game, and just about anyone would try out Wii Sports. It's choices like that made the game resonate with an extremely large audience, from kids to seasoned gamers to old folks alike. On top of all this, the game would use the Mii characters that you and your friends made to populate the game, as both playable characters, bots, and backgrounds. It adds a nice little customized touch, you know? And also, on an interesting side note, the developers were actually initially intending to have Super Mario characters be the playable characters and NPCs instead. Imagine how that would have turned out. But As a whole, Wii Sports showed what motion controls could do and gave the best possible experience to that technology at the time. However, it wouldn't last. In 2010, sales of the Wii and its games would begin to decline. While the motion control and first-party games were fun, the novelty of the experience really wore off. Sony and Xbox would jump on the idea too, each with their own respective tech. And finally, third-party developers were passing up on opportunities to make games for the Wii because of the console's hardware limitations, instead looking to develop for the PS3 and 360. But despite the Wii's decline in popularity, it did incredibly well over its life cycle. 101 million Wiis were sold, making it the 7th best-selling console of all time. That's crazy! And it's evident that the impact that the Wii and Wii Sports has left on the world, especially the internet. Almost as soon as the Wii came out, videos of children launching Wiimotes into their parents' televisions began to circle the web and go viral. Nowadays, the number of Wii and Wii Sports related memes is honestly astounding. I love the fact that almost everyone who's watching right now is gonna recognize this video.
Nice car. Perfect.
For a game and its console to still resonate with social media and culture 17 years later means Nintendo did something right. And that's just it. Nintendo was able to create an incredible gaming experience that seemingly everyone could enjoy. Looking past the motion controls and the Wii and its gimmickiness, Wii Sports is a prime example of a game that might look simple, but was able to unite a new generation of gamers, young and old. And I hope more games take this lesson to heart and focus on making a fun experience for everyone to play. If you stuck around this long, then thank you. I really appreciate it. If you liked what you saw, you can leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. And if you have any topics you'd like me to cover, feel free to leave a comment. And this video was really fun, and I loved the Wii. It was so much fun to play as a kid, and I have so many fond memories of not only Wii Sports, but Mario Kart, and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, believe it or not. That was the game I got for Christmas with my Wii, which is kind of bizarre. But it was really exciting to learn about this sort of childhood memory and console of mine and its entire development. But with that, I'll see everyone next time, and hope you have a good one.